Hello, everyone. It's Nick Alifi, the Garlic Bread Warlord. His soccer over there. A wonderful Monday. My brain's fried. How about you guys? Anybody else have a bad, horrible sports weekend? We got with us today Jared_Smith. We have with us today Mr. Jason Longshore. Gentlemen, this weekend felt like one massive kick between the legs. How about you guys?
Wow. I mean,
no, Edison Odward scored in the 96th minute for Celtic. It wasn't as bad as it could have been.
Oh, okay, good.
Jason, Celtic has so much competition. It's mind blowing that they're able to navigate all of
it. I dig deep into the trenches of the ocean floor to find what happiness I can.
Yeah. That's about it with Celtic. Maybe Rangers will actually give them competition at some point, maybe, possibly.
Nah, because Celtic's 10 points clear on the table now.
Oh, well, yeah, no, they won't. Jonathan Spector's not going to save the day either.
Last time somebody of name and note came to Rangers, it was Philip Senderos, and I'm pretty sure that his soul is still floating somewhere above Glasgow after Moussa Dembele just disarmed him.
Yeah, so Celtic, we can go ahead and announce them as the 2019-2020 Scottish Premier League champions. That one's already done. It's in the bag. They've got the trophy. Yeah, I mean, on the sports side, it wasn't a great weekend calling games for me. It was a loss for the Twos on Friday night. They played well against Louisville City, but it was a loss. And then it didn't feel like the Cincinnati match in terms of a draw that felt like a loss. It felt like a draw. It felt like a draw, and hopefully those don't feel like draws a whole lot longer. But, it is what it is.
Well, guys, I have reached the darkest depths of sporting depression. Very difficult weekend for me. My lifelong fanship of Defensa y Justicia. I'm not going to say it was challenged because I'm never giving up on my boys, but I will say that the title shot looks to be done. It kind of hit the Hindenburg this weekend with a 2-0 loss to Patronato in the Argentine Superliga. And I was joking around saying that there was shifty stuff going on. And yes, there was a Patronato ball boy who was dressed in Defensa colors.
That happened.
That caused a stoppage to the game. That was a little shifty. There was a very, very questionable handball that for a penalty in the 52nd minute that looked like it was a little shifty on further review. Just going to go ahead and throw that out there.
Sure.
The goal by the goal by Patronato in the 77th minute, it was a goal. You can't do anything about it. But I think it really chalked up to my boys.
Oh, no. Actually, the player was offside to begin that whole thing, too.
Okay. So there was a lot of shifty stuff going on in that game then.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. All right. So you see, when my boys are getting railroaded, that we can't have nice things in the Argentine Super League. Leicester City had their moment in the sun in the Premier League. Why can't Defensa have theirs? Why can't we have these things in life? I would just like to know that. But, and then it gets worse because then Serie A, my beloved AC Milan, the derby versus Inter. Guys, this is tough for me to even say for the moment, the briefest of moments. Milan is blue, and I don't know how I feel about that right now. Milan lost 3-2 to Inter. I thought the game was really over with De Vries' goal in the 51st minute, and then my boys came storming back. Bakayoko in the 57th minute, Musacchio in the 71st. I'm proud of the fight that Milan put up. Really, if you all rivalry stuff aside, if you haven't watched this game yet, just go ahead, even if you know the score, and get on ESPN Plus and pull the game up, because I promise you it is one of the best derbies you will ever see. It was fast. It was fun. Inter really put on a show. They're showing day in and day out that they really don't need Icardi, that, he's kind of surplus. And they would kind of be smart to bring him back just to kind of get his value up a little bit. But Inter is now sitting in third, Milan in fourth. Thank God Roma lost, because otherwise it would be a little bit of a tighter race. So then we go on to Atlanta United. For those of us in Atlanta, saw that game. Tired legs, exhaustion, name it. It's on right now. But yeah, tough sporting weekend, guys. I don't know. I don't feel too great about this right now. I don't feel this is not a happy Monday for me. And judging from the Twitters, it doesn't look like it's a happy Monday from a sporting perspective for a lot of people. So join us. Hit us up on Twitter. You can hit me up at Nicolifi or at SOC, SOC over there. If you want to hit up at Longshoe, if you want to go directly at Jason for something, anything, even if he said it this morning.
What did I do now?
Well, there are people out there that are saying, oh, Jason's apologizing for, he's an apologist for Atlanta United, blah, 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 because they don't want to listen to logic and reason and whatnot,
Man, I didn't know people were saying that. Now I feel bad.
Well, look, I have my finger on the pulse of the community, Jason.
You do.
I'm out in the streets, man. Okay.
Man, I didn't know the streets were talking like that.
Streets were talking, Jason. Streets were talking. But it's out there. One thing I do want to go off on, if I can, for a moment.
Sure.
I saw that, and this is coming from a couple of things that I witnessed over the weekend. My son had a tournament, and a kid, a goalkeeper who I will not name for a team I also will not name, took a headshot. Right, kid hits the ground. Little woozy getting up. Dad says, "Hey kid, are you okay?" Kid gives a thumbs up. Coach says, "Hey kid, are you okay?" Kid gives a thumbs up. Still a little woozy, walks back to the goal. At that point, the kid should have been pulled from the damn game. And we saw this also in the Napoli game versus Lazio, where Ospina gets drilled in the head, gets cut open. They come out, they put a crazy bandage set over his head, and let him go back to playing. He gives a thumbs up. I'm okay. He was out on his feet. That guy was out. You can say they according to Gabriel Marcotti on ESPN FC, allegedly they took him to a hospital and they said the CAT scan revealed no concussion. Garbage. I don't buy that for one moment, because after they left him into play, he collapsed. Like 20 minutes later, he collapses. And they try saying, well, he lost so much blood. No. If you have been in any fight game, if you have boxed, if you've done Muay Thai, if you have played football, you know that if you've taken any shot to the head, you can recover enough to walk around, but that doesn't mean the symptoms completely go away. It is time to stop letting these players say, I want to fight through. Your result is not worth it. And to the coach, who will remain unnamed, if you leave your kid in, that is beyond stupidity. It's dangerous. So we have to start treating head injuries like the actual events that they are. Brain trauma, it's no joke. The fact that Ospina was left in there is criminal in my mind. If I were Aurelio De Laurentiis, I would fire the entire medical staff for letting him continue to play. They posted a picture of Ospina at home with his kids, and he has this nice little head wrap on. But there's no way in hell that man lost so much blood that he passed out from getting cut on the head. No. He got drilled in his head, and he had a massive concussion. I don't care where you are in the table. That doesn't bother me. Fire the whole damn staff, because that man's life was in danger. And that kid in that tournament this past weekend that I saw, he should have been hauled off the field too. I don't care if you paid money for your kid to play in a tournament. Your kid gets a head injury, take him out the damn game. So now I'm off of my soapbox, guys. I'm sorry. I had to get that out there, though.
No, it's all good.
I would like to add on to this whole concussion thing, because we make light of head injuries too much, I think. So if you haven't seen Brad Guzan, he kind of looks like Ralphie in A Christmas Story after the BB hit him. Guzan had a hell of a shot above the eye where he got plopped in the head. And, look, if you go back and look at the Philadelphia goal where he kind of gets wrong-footed because the ball deflects off LGP, look, if you guys want to make memes off of like Guzan's soul leaving his body, like I've seen like even digital like doing like the jokes about like look at his face when it just he knows that he's flat-footed and he's dead when it deflects. That's cool. Just don't make concussion jokes. The concussions aren't funny.
No.
Like if you want to make jokes about him being flat-footed, cool. I'm here for it. Because, like, the video is very much a man who just is, well, here I am. There it goes. Ain't much I'm doing about it. And it's
But it's what it is. It's something where it
video
affects
of
you
a guy
long term.
who just really, that's cool. Do that. Leave the concussion jokes out of it if you don't mind. Because he did get walloped in the head, and he did have a damn shiner for it to show for his trouble. Leave the concussion jokes out of it because it ain't good for you. It ain't healthy.
Nah, it's not. One thing about that brain, it doesn't exactly heal quite the same way after you take a massive shot to it. It's one of those things.
Yeah, that was a weird one because, I mean, we were trying to pick out how things went down from the replays we were seeing, and you know, they checked him out pretty thoroughly. It's a little different. Well, it's a lot different than some of the other situations we've seen with this. I didn't think there was any concern about Gazan being concussed or anything like that. I didn't think there was any of that. I think it was the glancing blow right above the eye that is what gave him the shiner and opened him up a bit. But I don't think there was any worry about a concussion. I mean, I kept an eye on him pretty close afterwards. Didn't notice anything. Doesn't mean that, and this is the thing about concussions that people need to understand, doesn't mean that he might not have a concussion later. Doesn't mean that it didn't happen later on. Doesn't mean any of that, because that's the thing about concussions. You don't know a lot of it. The player doesn't know a lot of it. It can be something where the symptoms don't show until later. There's so many difficult things about it. I really think, and I've pushed for this for a while, I really think top flight leagues around the world need to have an independent medical authority on hand who makes these decisions. But in cases where a player is being checked for concussion, a temporary substitution should be allowed. And then once you have a decision on the player can continue, they can't continue, then the manager has to make the decision on using that sub or not. But they should be allowed a temporary sub, so you don't have and in kids' games, I mean, come on, it's a no-brainer. Like in kids' games, there shouldn't even be a discussion about this. But you don't put managers into a situation where they're trying to decide if they should keep somebody in that might help them keep their job, or they should pull them out and use a substitution. Let's be a little bit better about these.
Yeah, like the way that it could work, where it'd be legitimate, is that the independent medical authority comes over and says, yes, this is something that we have to check out. This is not,
right. You are approved for a temporary substitution, and it's an independent authority who does that.
That is correct. Yeah, and so it's something where there would be vetting involved. It wouldn't just be, right. Dr. X from, who is secretly from this neighborhood or whatever, comes in and says, oh, yeah. Do the sub. Go ahead and do it now. And then, you have the ringer on the bench. That's not the case.
Right.
It's something, where it would be temporary as well. So it's something that needs to be addressed because it's getting way out of hand. And I get that every athlete says, don't take me out. I want to be in there. I want to be a part of it. When you take a good shot to the head, I'll use myself as an example. We were doing training in the Marines, and one day was boxing, right? And I was out on my feet. I took a massive shot. The ref, I must have looked like I could continue because the ref let me continue, and I drove myself home. Scary. Threw a scalding hot bath, and I blacked out, and I woke up and the water was ice cold. So the symptoms don't necessarily show up immediately, and they can be extraordinarily dangerous. So there's a lot of safety issues involved in this. But getting to the fun side of soccer, if we can for a moment, The greatest conversation of who is the greatest of all time, who's the greatest now, what eras, anything like that. That conversation has reared its ugly head yet again with Lionel Messi's hat trick against Real Betis, and Betis fans gave him a standing ovation in the game because, recognize greatness. And so with both players of Messi and Ronaldo rolling toward possible destiny in Champions League, the question's coming up again, who is the greatest of all time? I don't know if we have enough show for this, but
it's its own show.
To change your mind.
Here comes Robot John.
Oh, Robot John has joined us. John Nelson.
I want to welcome our robot overlord.
Seriously, good grief.
I know. No, it's its own show. I think that if you did a soccer among us, it would be its own show for the greatest ever.
Well, no, it's not. Like, who's going to argue? No. Of modern times, because you're not going to open up all across the board and you get into different eras and all that. Of these two, because that was the question that Nick threw on the table. Of these two, it's Lionel Messi. It's what's the argument?
The argument.
Lionel Messi.
Okay, well, first of all, let me go ahead and I will go on the record and say that I think off the field there have been numerous things that make me believe that Ronaldo is, shall we say, a less than ideal individual to be around. Some may say scumbag. That's fine.
Yes, I think that is abundantly established.
Yeah. And so when we, obviously people want to, bring that side into it. And you have to, right? It's part of the conversation. The one thing I would say with Ronaldo from a sporting perspective is that Ronaldo has tested himself in a way that I don't think Messi has. And that to me is the variable that gets thrown in here, because he's done it more places with different caliber teams. And to me, it just seems like when he is an equalizer on the field, regardless of the quality around him, that I don't think Messi necessarily is.
I mean, go ahead, Jared. They do different things, so it is a little tough to compare them straight up.
It is very different.
And that's it's for me. It's difficult to compare them. I am consistently impressed by Ronaldo's ability to change, though, because he's had to change as his body has changed, and as he's gotten older, he's had to change how he plays. I've been impressed by the way he's been able to do that. He's not the same player he was when he was younger, and not everybody can change. Not everybody can change their style. And I will always give him credit for that. For me, it is Messi, though, who is just, of course you give him the standing ovation. You're watching one of the old masters work. That doesn't mean there wasn't some 28-year-old who died of dysentery in 1623, who was a magician with the ball, but we'll never know his name because he lived in a village somewhere in, I don't know, northern England. But if we're going modern times, for me, it's Messi. Doesn't mean I can't be impressed with Ronaldo. I can separate the two, but it's so hard for me to pick, it's so hard for me to pick against Lionel Messi and what he has done.
John Nelson.
Who else would you, seriously, who else would be even thrown into this discussion? For me, it's Messi, then it's Ronaldo, but who comes out and who throws in the wild third name, and who is that wild third or fourth name? Honestly.
Peter Crouch.
There you go. But
there's just nobody in competition with those two over a career in an individual.
But when people try to do something, when people try to throw a name in, what name is thrown into this discussion?
Typically Neymar.
Oh, it's not even that's
no. I can't do that.
I know.
No,
I don't. Look, I don't think
anybody's
truly trying to throw anybody else into this. I don't even think
not even a Neuer.
Next. That's another one that I don't think it's in the conversation. And it's a different position, so it is even more difficult, especially when you bring goalkeepers into it. But there's nobody else who's won trophies like these two. That's the other side.
Nope.
Like, it's one thing to be a great individual player like a Neymar, but he hasn't won trophies like this.
It's going to be something where, as we move through Champions League, if these two somehow find a way to meet, for some epic showdown. Because I will go as far to say that I think that there's a twinge of sadness with Messi to me, because Messi has admitted that he didn't have the best diet and nutrition plan coming up. You know, there was a little while where he kind of did look a little pudgy for a soccer player anyway, running around. You know, he said he drank sodas and ate candy. Meanwhile, Ronaldo's over there, you know, with plain chicken breasts and, you know, triple distilled water that was brought.
And his abs.
Yeah, brought down from the Swiss mountains and hand delivered. You know, if Messi had Ronaldo's insane drive for fitness, can we imagine what could have been? Or is that even a stupid question to begin with? Because he's already doing things on like a galactic level above
what more could have been, I guess, is the way to do it.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't think it would have made a difference. I think it may have actually made it worse, because Messi's an artist. Like, it's not about body type with Messi. It's about being an artist. Maradona was the same way. I mean, when you see things and feel things on a different plane than everyone else, it doesn't matter. Ronaldo is great because of that work ethic and because of all those things to it, and the sheer amount of physical work he puts into his body. He's a great player because of that. Messi was born a great player, and he got help with, I mean, he had a human growth hormone at Barcelona because he was undersized. And if that hadn't happened, I don't think anyone would have ever known who Lionel Messi was. But he had that talent before that as a small boy in Rosario. And he is what he is because it's instinct. It's inside of him. It's not about the fitness side. It's one of those things that sometimes guys who have that ability, it's just you just have to foster it. And I think that's what Barcelona's been able to do. I don't know if he would be better. I mean, would he maybe be a little bit quicker? Would he maybe be a little bit stronger, this or that? But would that throw him off? You know, you see players go through that sometimes where they overtrain. I think Messi's special the way he is. I don't know if he could be more special.
What I want to do, and guys, let me know if you're in on this, I want to go down to Rosario and start a water bottling company and just sell bottled water from Rosario with like all the images of the players who've come out of there. And just sell it at like soccer tournaments locally, I think we'd make a fortune. Drink the same water that Lionel Messi and all these other legends who have come before have drank. Drink the same water. I think we can make a killing, guys. This is something we really need to look into.
You could. There's a lot of suckers out there.
The Rosario diet.
I'm just saying it can happen.
Nothing about the water. It's the culture. It's the environment. It's the fact that you grow up with a ball at your foot. It's the fact that you have Newell's Old Boys and Rosario Central right there, among other smaller clubs. And there is just, you're born into it, and talent rises to the top. I mean, a kid like Messi jumped into a match when he was younger than everybody on the field. He showed his talent. He was a little tiny guy, and he found a way through, and other players do as well. The story about Mauricio Pochettino, it's an interesting one because he was a player who was starting to make a name for himself. He was, I believe, at Rosario Central, actually, like just the academy stuff is pretty loose there. It's not like here where you register and you can't change clubs if coaches don't let you, and it just gets out of hand. There, it's pretty loose, and especially the kids from out in the provinces will go in and play with a team and go play a tournament with a team and then join another team and bounce around. And El Loco, Marcelo Bielsa, and Jorge Grifa, who was the manager and scout who identified Ezequiel Barco, they worked together when Bielsa became the manager at Newell's. And they had heard about this kid. I mean, Bielsa's the manager at Newell's, and he's going out, like, scouting kids, driving around. I can't remember what kind of car he had, but he's driving around, like, the Argentine countryside to, like, go and meet these kids and scout these kids. And they had heard about Pochettino. By the time they got to wherever he lived, it was, like, midnight or 1 in the morning, and there's a knock at the door, and it's Bielsa and Grifa outside. And of course, like the Mauricio's dad recognizes him and is like, wow, why is Bielsa at my house at midnight? What is going on? And they wanted to talk about Mauricio, and they talked about him. And, of course, he's asleep because he has school the next day. And they want to go in and see him. So Mauricio says he wakes up to Bielsa and Jorge Grifa, like, standing over him, like, checking him out, like, staring at him. Like, oh, he has the legs of a footballer. And he ended up joining Newell's Old Boys, and now he is where he is as the manager of Tottenham. But, yeah, like, that's soccer in Rosario. That's soccer in Argentina.
That's the creepiest recruiting story that I think I've ever heard.
It worked, though.
Ain't got nothing on that, Paul.
Yeah, I don't know if our buddy Rush Probst is in on stuff like that, but, you know.
Wow. No.
Oh, you'd be surprised, actually.
But no, to your point against artists or like on artists, you look at Andy Warhol, you look at Dali, you look at Van Gogh. They're all different. Their artistry is in a bunch of different ways, and it comes across in their art in a bunch of different styles. You don't send Andy Warhol to an art class so he can be like somebody else. Everyone's artist is an artist in their own way, and to send them someplace where they have to try to mainstream themselves and be like somebody else, it's counterproductive to their own artistry.
I'll buy that. I'm just saying, from a fitness perspective, that's the only thing I'm commenting on. Not necessarily the play, but I do understand what you're saying. Where if he focuses more on fitness, maybe we lose a bit of the artistry. That I understand. I buy that. And when we're talking about the drinking water and how we could sell it and bottle it for suckers, there's maybe a little something in Greg Berhalter's water, because he's talking about moving Tyler Adams to right back. Guys, he's playing midfield for the third best team in Bundesliga. What's Berhalter doing?
Did you watch Nick Lima play in the last set of friendlies?
I did not.
Yes, you did. Nick Lima. He
I
cut
did?
inside. He played as a central midfielder. Remember?
Oh, okay.
He was your right back who cut inside and played next to Michael Bradley. Doesn't that sound like something that Tyler Adams could do?
But
I know.
Why?
But he can do it.
He can, but does that mean he should? I feel like I'm Dr. Ian Malcolm in Jurassic Park. You're so busy thinking about if you could, you didn't stop to think if you should.
So he gives you in that role, and I'm gonna play it out the way that I think Berhalter's seeing this. So, is Tyler Adams the player you want on the ball as a number 6 in possession? Maybe not. I think he's better there than he gets credit for, but maybe not. Do you want his range? Do you want the ground he can cover to be in a good spot to help you out? Yeah, absolutely, and that's why Jesse Marsch used him as a right back or a right wing back, depending on the shape. I get it, especially in this sense, because I think the Nick Lima thing in the last set of friendlies was basically like, this is exactly what I'm going to do with my right back, and Tyler Adams is the perfect player for it. I'm not shocked this is where we're going with it. Now, we'll have to see if it's effective, and that's the big question.
I just feel like we're setting ourselves up for ridicule here. I really do. It's yet again talent coming through the U.S. men's national team where it's not used correctly, or it's used out of place, or they're not getting the time. Insert excuse here for how the U.S. men's national team doesn't handle talent the correct way. And this is like Article 4, subsection C, bullet point 4. Like it blows my mind that this is still an issue here. And I said this off air. I'll say it now. If you go and you spend money on the U.S. men's national team right now, take your money, set it on fire. It's a more constructive use of it. I will say that. I'm screaming it from the hills. Call it a hot take. Say whatever you want. I don't care. It's buffoonish that we have these guys who are excelling at a position and you want to move them out of it. And I saw it on Twitter. I think it's perfect analogy for Mad Lib soccer. Because that's exactly what it looks like is happening here. Mad Lib soccer. And if they come out and they are gangbusters, bring the Twitter fury. I await it. But until I get proven wrong, it's more buffoonery. This team just seems to produce the way that Brazil produces beautiful soccer. The U.S. men's national team seems to just produce buffoonery on an epic scale. And we have talent that's good enough to play in Europe now with regularity and excel, not just somehow make a way at some mid-level club. No, we have people who are excelling. Let's play them out of position. Let's see how that goes. Come on, guys. Be better than this. I'm sorry. This is my hill to die on this one. Somebody please talk me off the ledge. Anyone. Good Lord.
Jarrett, John, you want to take this?
Well, I mean, you set yourself up on the ledge pretty nicely.
I think John's going to
what? It's just, tell me your fears. Tell me your fears in this situation.
My fear is this, that we will continue.
Get on the soccer over there couch.
All right. I'm on
Put
the
your
soccer
feet up.
Feet are up.
Tell me what is troubling you, sir.
Okay. Dr. Nelson, this is what's troubling me. That we have in the United States a team, the U.S. men's national team, which has a history of playing mediocre ball. Talent that should produce at a much higher level. I think part of that is because we have kids with talent that were not playing in the position they should be playing in. I think if you have a player like Tyler Adams, who is excelling right now in one of the toughest leagues in the world, does Tyler Adams play in Panama? Does Tyler Adams play in the Spanish second division? Or the English championship? No, he plays in the damn Bundesliga. And you want to play him at right back? Not in the midfield? Any position on the midfield? You don't want to put him there? No. Just put him at right back? I just think it's stupid.
He's not going to play as a traditional right back.
Are we sure?
Yes. There's two games. Yeah, I mean, there's two games to show, how Greg Berhalter is going to use his right back. I mean, that was basically, this is where Tyler Adams will play. This is exactly what he's going to do. Now, is he maybe overthinking it? That's a whole different conversation. But, yeah, I don't think he's going to play as a traditional right back at all.
I understand the frustration, though, Nick.
Yeah, go ahead, Jared.
And Nick, please jump in and correct me if I'm wrong on this. I understand this whole thing between you, and I'm sure you're not the only one to feel this way. When you've been hurt by a national team this many times and you start to see, you've been hit by the surf so many times and thrown under the water. When you see the waves starting to build again, it's kind of fair to sit there and go, well, that's going to hit me again, and it's not going to feel good, and I'm not going to enjoy this. I understand where, the feeling of dread, I think, is coming from here, and I don't begrudge that. I don't either. Want to see how this plays out, but I think I can empathize with the idea of, man, this don't look pretty on paper, and I've seen enough paper with this team to know that where the paper is, the Acme factory is sure to follow.
I'm just saying that I believe that there are certain organizations and certain leadership structures that warrant faith. If you're a New England Patriots fan, you understand in Bill we trust. Cut superstars left and right, they're going to be competitive. Change up whatever you want, they're going to be competitive. There are some organizations that warrant zero faith, right? The Cincinnati Bengals warrant zero faith. The Cleveland Browns warrant zero faith. Even with all the changes they've done now, they look like a paper champion, still have zero faith. There's nothing the U.S. men's national team has done to make me say, yeah, I'm okay putting faith in this. They're going to find a way to botch it. I just know it. And if you would like, was it Thursday at 8 p.m., right? United States versus Ecuador. We can all tune in together. We can all see how this plays out. But there are only a couple teams that I want to watch in the international window. The United States and Italy. That's it. Other than that, I don't care.
Argentina.
Okay, fair. If you're an Atlanta United fan and you want to watch your boy Pete play
against Joseph,
I don't want to watch that because I would be, as an Atlanta United fan, I will be just terrified. I'll be screaming at the TV anytime Joseph takes a cut. No.
You won't be the only one.
No. They're playing in Madrid at the Wanda, so it'll be okay. The turf will be okay. It'll be good. It'll be good. It's not going to be the muddy, lumpy field we've seen before.
That's fine and great.
They're not playing in Trinidad, in other words.
I'm not watching it. I'm not watching it. No, I'm not putting that on the universe, man. I'm just letting you know.
Look, you can never know when it's going to happen. Bad news that was expected out of River Plate. Juan Fernando Quintero, rupture in the ACL in his left knee, and he will be out for quite a while.
That is exceedingly unfortunate.
Yes. Hashtag Fuerza Juanfer. I mean, it sucks.
So the international window is something where typically I don't care about these kind of windows right here. The friendlies and all that, I don't care about at all. It means nothing to me. But if you're a team right now like Real Madrid, if you're a team domestically like Atlanta, Orlando, Portland, where things aren't working out for you right now, one way or the other, albeit at different levels, this is a time when you can take a step back and get a breather and just kind of say, okay, where have we been going wrong? What can we change? What's in our power to tweak and alter? And what are some things that we just have to learn to build around? For the first time, I think I'm okay with an international break happening in this very moment with Atlanta United. And when Jason, let's take a break. And when we come back, let's get into the MLS and talk about some of the MLS schedule coming up and what teams need to be doing what going forward. You guys okay with that? Is that something you guys feel cool with? And then we'll jump back into Europe. All right.
Let's do that.
Soccer over there. Nick, Jason, John, and Jared_Smith will be right back.
Today's show is presented by Appolinsky & Associates, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience, supporters of Atlanta United, Faction, and Inter-Atlanta Youth Football Club. If you've been hurt in a wreck, contact Steve today at steve@aa-legal.com or call in 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service Ad Council and your state forester.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Every hiring manager knows that a company is only as good as the people it's made from. So where do you find the best people? That may surprise you.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
This is talent worth knowing about.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
All right, it's soccer over there. We're back. It's Monday. I'm depressed, guys. I'm still depressed. Talking soccer, it's helping some. So thank you for helping me out with this. John and Jared, good doctors, thank you for letting me get my feelings out on the soccer over their couch.
Worst case scenario, just dump on Roma some more.
Yeah, we'll do that. That's absolutely going to happen. Don't you worry. But coming up domestically, because we sort of bleed the shows a little bit, not always, but we do bleed the show some. Going into the international break, who are the teams in your mind, all of you gentlemen, who have the most to tweak or need to do immediate course correction? And I will start by saying Atlanta United, number one. And you can feel free, again, at me on Twitter if you want. But I think it's tweaking, not complete course correction. And people, if you take the litmus test from the people in the 200 section and the people on the train, they will think that you have to blow the whole team up and start from scratch. But I'm still of the opinion that with rest, and now that we're out of schedule compression, you will probably see a different team going forward, hopefully. But I think it's just something where the international break and bye weeks will be very helpful for them. But I don't think it's immediate course correction, guys.
It'd be nice to see Eric Remedi not die on the field almost.
Yeah, that'd be helpful.
Oh, okay. I'm going to pass on Atlanta. Since you're covering Atlanta, I'm going to pick for a team that needs something in their lives for an immediate course correction. Let's just pull out everybody's favorite punching bag and talk about Orlando. Because, holy Moses. Okay, Orlando should have had 6 points from their first two games. They got 2 points.
That's generous.
They were in position to get 6 points. They got 2 points out of it. And then if you haven't seen what the clown show was on Saturday, go look up what the clown show was on Saturday for Orlando.
Which chapter? There were about 6.
Yeah.
Just go binge watch it. Go get the whole anthology. Just go through all of it. It's an absolute mess. Orlando needs this international break. And you know what? After the last few years, no one's going to blame you if your response to that is, that won't help. That won't matter. Like, I can't.
That won't help. That won't matter.
I can't be mad at that argument. But, dang, y'all. Damn, Orlando. Like, you're finding new ways. I'm impressed. This is like Wile E. Coyote, like 10 years after the show started, finding new ways to fall off the cliff.
It looked like Nani was about to kill somebody on the field this past weekend.
He will. Before the season's over, he will.
Did you see the second goal they conceded? I mean, that was one of the worst goals in MLS history.
Mm-hmm.
The third goal was up there too, but the second goal was one of the worst.
If we're comparing,
the robots
went digital.
At Orlando goals, my favorite. Well, only last year Orlando, where both of the defensive midfielders just kind of stood around in part of the Red Sea for him, and
the Orlando robots are attacking Jared as we speak.
Yeah, they are. It's ILF's digital team is going after Jared.
That's right.
Bring it, nerds.
There you go.
I will say this. I wish, and I'm going to get killed for this too. I really wish that team could put something together, because yes, their fans are nut jobs, but you cannot deny the fact that they are passionate about that team. And in MLS, we need as many teams with passionate supporters as humanly possible. Because for all the Save the Columbus crap that we had to deal with last year, them not showing up this weekend was buffoonish. So save the crew all you want, but when you do that, you better show up.
Read some
with
of
9,000.
Yeah, it was just over 9, which is embarrassing. But read some of the passionate responses from Orlando fans on Twitter about their team's performance. Read some of the passionate responses to Orlando City SC on Twitter, and woo. You think it's negative here?
For your own safety.
Ooh. Oh, brother. They are setting themselves on fire. It is an exercise in social media self-immolation.
It's a flat spin for Orlando. Like they cannot seem to pull themselves out of it. This is like you had the off season, and like it just seems like more of the same. This is just a different brand.
It is.
It's just a different brand of self-immolation right now if you're Orlando. And, man, y'all need a break. I don't know if it's going to help, but y'all need it. Y'all need to, go play mini golf together or something. Actually, don't. That's a weapon. Donnie might use it.
You don't want people swinging putters at each other.
Like knitting or crocheting.
No, those are needles.
Oh, God. All right.
An escape room kind of thing. Just an escape room kind of thing, but, make sure that somebody on the outside has the key so Nani doesn't escape and leave everyone else in there. Like the end of a Saw movie.
Well, there are 2 teams, though, that are 0-3, and they're both in the Western Conference. Vancouver, new manager, Mark Dos Santos, 4 goals in 3 matches. They've conceded 7. Yeah, -3 goal differential when you're 0-3. Yeah, could be worse.
How about the team above them?
No, the team below them, San Jose.
Ooh, I know. Woohoo!
9 goals conceded. They've had this tendency of scoring and then conceding lots of goals. Man. Jarrett, what's up with you?
Yes.
Man, that man marking thing is really fun until it's not.
It's something.
It's really fun for like 50 minutes, and then it's like a fireworks show where somebody didn't properly manage the number of fireworks they had, and they did the big explosion at the very beginning. And okay, what do you got for the next? What do you got for the other 80 minutes? What other 80 minutes? Ah, damn. My heart is quaked.
Look, I don't know why anybody's surprised, though. I mean,
I didn't think it would be. I didn't think it would be this.
Well,
just apocalyptic.
No, you had to think it was going to be that.
I didn't think it was going to be apocalyptic. I thought Almeida would at least be able to bring some level of competitiveness.
But this is the thing. He's not trying to bring some immediate quick fix level of competitiveness that ultimately doesn't do anything. He's not trying to have them be a little decent and be with a draw at this stage and be a team competing for the 7th playoff spot. He's going for the top over time, which means he's got to go through what he's implementing, a style that nobody else in Major League Soccer is playing, a style that no player on his roster has played, a way to change the entire culture of the club. He's not coming at it like Frank de Boer, who was coming into a winning team and is making tweaks, and it's a little bit of a bumpy ride. He needed to burn the whole thing down to start over because there was nothing there to begin with, and that's where he's at. I mean, anybody who thought that they were going to be good immediately, no. And they might still be decent this year. But right now,
no.
They're learning what this is going to be, and none of them have any experience playing this way, and they're understanding the demands of it. And as Jarrett said, it's really interesting early when the players are up for it and the mental focus is there and the physical fitness is there, and then they hit a wall, and it's a wall mentally and it's a wall physically, and it's bad. And right now, you have to go through this to get around the other side where you want to be, and they're just going to stink for a while. Just how it is.
Yeah.
I think some of it's cultural in the sense of they give up that first goal and then go, oh, here we go again, and it just rolls downhill. By the way, if there's ever a club that was going to burn down the house for the insurance money to start over, it should have been the club from Florida, to be fair.
It's true.
Also, shout out
give
to
him
Portland,
time.
who just is shipping goals like nobody's business.
Yeah,
amazing what happened when Diego. It's amazing what happens when Diego Chara's not there.
There's that, but that Cincinnati squad, they don't stink.
They're not terrible.
No, it just took 4 points off the teams that were in the MLS Cup.
Yeah,
not bad at all.
Not too shabby.
No, I looked at Vancouver and San Jose, and I'm playing the long game on Vancouver and San Jose.
But okay. Here's the question though, John. We know where San Jose's going. We know what road they're on.
Uh-huh.
We know where the GPS sent them, and we know where the road is headed. Where is it headed for Vancouver? What are they doing?
Like I said, I'm playing the long game because I don't know.
But that's
I
the
think
problem.
Dos Santos Dos Santos still needs guys to fit what he wants to do, and until that personnel is in, this may be a lost year in Vancouver.
But San Jose, you know what they want to do, and they need guys to fit what they want to do. Vancouver, I don't know what they want to do. There's a difference. Because Almeida comes in, you know exactly what they're going to do. You know what they're building to. And now he's putting the guys through the paces, and guys who can't do it are going to be gone. I have no idea what Vancouver's end game is. And it's been all talk about Marc Dos Santos, and it's great and this and that. What are they headed towards? Because I don't know. And that's a problem. In Atlanta right now, do you have an idea of how Frank de Boer wants to play? Like how he approaches games. Not formationally, not individual tactics, but philosophy.
Yeah.
You get that. San Jose, you know what their philosophy is. Vancouver, I have no idea. Orlando, I have no idea. Bad teams have no philosophy.
Chicago?
That's a problem. No, I think Chicago, we know at least enough now that I think where they're headed is to play 5 in the back and stop this nonsense of lying about Bastian Schweinsteiger being a midfielder. He's a center back. He said he's a center back. Play him at center back. Play him as a sweeper. That way he can step up if he feels like it, because whatever Basti wants to do, he's going to do. It doesn't matter. So play him in the middle. Let him step if he wants to step higher. But he's a center back. And build everything around it and get Gaetan in there, somebody who can play. I think we know where they're going, at least. And Paunovic has had to tinker because he hasn't had the talent. Last year he had a bunch of injuries, and he didn't have the talent. I think we know where they're going. But Vancouver, I don't know. I haven't seen anything from Dos Santos yet to know what they're going to do.
I had hopes with Vancouver, and it wasn't wildly optimistic hopes, but they started making moves in the offseason. They're thinking, they have a plan. I don't know what it is yet, but they seem to have no, they don't. They're just, okay. When they started making moves, I thought, okay, they've got something in mind. Maybe we'll find out what that is. No, I don't really know why they did what they did. I don't know.
I don't know where they're headed.
I've been mad at Vancouver ever since they ruined Felipe's attempt to keep them alive in the playoffs last year. I'm still bitter about that.
That's understandable. But nah, it's a big thing, I think, with bad teams. If you don't have an identity, there's not a light at the end of the tunnel. If
it's an oncoming train.
No, because you don't even know where you're just getting run over. You don't know what's going on. Vancouver, Orlando, they don't know what's going on. San Jose sees the train. They just can't get out of the way of it right now. They're trying to. They know they have an idea of how to avoid the train. They can't do it. Vancouver doesn't even know it's there until they're being run over. And same with Orlando. And that's identity and philosophy. More teams in MLS are building it, but it's not enough yet. There's not enough teams that have their own identity yet. And that's, I think, one of the next steps for the league, because when you think about top clubs around the world, they have an identity. You know what they're all about.
And that's fair, and that's very fair. But the question is what will it take for an Orlando to get there? Because FC Cincinnati's coming in, and they're doing what was previously thought to be extraordinarily difficult, and that's being competitive right out the gate. So they seem to have a philosophy that they have brought in from the USL and made it successful so far. Early in the season,
they built a good spine. They built a good spine to their team that can solve some problems. Because I don't know tactically if they're completely sure of what they want to be yet. But they built a good spine. They made the decision, and it was probably Joseph Martinez scoring on them early at the bends that said, you know what, we don't want what happened in Seattle to happen again. So let's sit and defend. And let's play on the counter. Let's get numbers behind the ball and be smart. It's working. It's something to hang your hat on. But they built a decent squad, I think, and especially through the middle of the field, which is kind of a no-brainer, you know?
I'll buy that.
You got to build your spine. If you're building a team from scratch, that's where I'm starting. I want a center back, I want a central midfielder, and I want a forward.
Look, as a fan of Serie A, I believe you have me 100% on the same page with building the spine. It just doesn't seem like everyone else in MLS has that understanding yet.
No. Orlando hasn't had a good center back since day one.
I don't know.
There's not one.
Who
is the best center back in Orlando City history?
I couldn't even venture a guess.
That's the problem.
Screaming Will Johnson?
He's not a center back.
That's my point.
That's exactly the point.
He'd probably be better than some of the guys they've put out there.
It just seems to me that, we talk about, well, my point and really in all of this is there are teams with hope and a clue, and there's teams that just don't have that. And we can talk about, what they need long term, but immediately in the short term, with the international break coming up, which teams can come through and make these short changes? Clearly, we all agree that Orlando they're dead on arrival, even though they're in 8th place right now. Atlanta United in 9th, but I think that there's a difference between a course correction and a tweak. And Atlanta United needs tweaks. San Jose needs a complete rebuild. Vancouver needs a rebuild. Outside of that, I mean, you kind of are who you are, and good luck if you are in one of those teams that needs to be doing the complete rebuild. On the ladies' side of the ball, before we get out of here, 60,000 fans showed up for a women's soccer game, guys.
Love it.
I'm a huge fan of this. The question I have, what's going on in the U.S., and why can we not get 60,000 out for a women's game? Because in Europe, you had certain countries, we'll go back 10 years, certain countries that had more successful leagues than others, right? Sweden, Finland, Iceland had a league that was, and I'm talking about like the financially stable. Italy was where you went if you wanted your career to die. Now, the Italian Federation is building up a women's program there. They've poached some talent there, and they're building up their squad. Juve, Milan, Roma live streams their women's games now. Spain, we're seeing
Juve is very supportive of their women's team. You follow Juve's men's account; they push the women's team hard nowadays.
But my question is, and we talked about this in the break, Sky Blue FC can't even afford post-game meals. What the hell are we doing? Because the women's team will feel this. As the European game grows and more fiscal investment gets dumped behind it, and it stagnates over here, and you don't do things like put a general manager in place before the Women's World Cup, At some point, it's going to affect the product on the field. Guys, is this the tournament where the women's team finally, because we've seen it before where France has been competitive, Japan obviously winning it, but it seems like sort of anomalies. Are we now reaching a new normal where the women's team, U.S. women's team, now officially below these other programs?
Getting pretty close. You want to know why? You mentioned a lot of the clubs as a reason why, but let's look at England, one of the countries, the team that just won the She Believes Cup on American soil. Top 3 teams in the FA Women's Super League right now. Number 3, Chelsea. They've got some money. A little bit. Number 2, Arsenal. They're kind of well-financed. They've got resources.
When Stan Kroenke wants to spend it, they have money.
John, they have it, and they're spending it on the women's team. They're spending more money on Arsenal's women's team than Colorado Rapids, and you know it.
Good.
Well, they're doing it. And they're doing hey, I can guarantee you this. Stan Kroenke spending more money on the women's team than the governor of New Jersey spending on Sky Blue.
Oh.
So there you go. And number 1 in England is Manchester City. They've got a little bit of cash themselves. When you have these clubs spending this money, 1, because they have it, 2, because they want to, because they see the idea. They see, yes, it's a need. There's also a business opportunity in it. It's not just strictly for the good of the game. They want to make money. Juve's doing it. Roma's doing it. Clubs in Spain are doing it. Clubs in England are doing it. Big clubs around the world are doing it. Portland's doing it. Even though they separate the Timbers and the Thorns, they're doing it. Houston's doing it, although they're struggling to get attendance on both sides. Orlando's doing it, but for whatever reason, the Pride are not connecting, and that needs to be looked at and addressed. Utah's doing it, and they're doing well, Real Salt Lake and the Utah Royals, although, again, they're separating the brands. There's a little more synergy there. It's still separate. It's working to a degree. It's working pretty well, I guess. North Carolina Courage are doing it with North Carolina FC. There's a lot of synergy between the brands there, and it's working well. That's how it's going to work here. I truly think that's it. If Atlanta United, FC Cincinnati, Bex in Miami, if they ever get Lockhart Stadium weeded out.
A stadium?
Literally.
Anything?
Well, they got to get the weed eater to kick in at Lockhart first. But if they get that, then they can field a women's team. LAFC, if you have these big clubs in the United States, and there are big clubs now, fielding women's teams and doing it the right way, you'll get caught up again because right now you're getting past.
If you are U.S. soccer right now, and one, you have labor issues because the ladies, they have produced, whether they're falling behind or not now, they have produced. I mean, there's the stars above their crest are not part of the natural logo like the men. Those stars have been earned on their logo. You need to pay the women what they need to be paid. So you already have this black eye, and now you're having to deal with the fact that you're getting lapped now by these other federations who are dumping money into their domestic program, that are dumping money into their national team programs, and you're getting passed. And what are you doing about it? Oh, well, we haven't named a general manager yet. We are exploring candidates at the moment. We're looking into it right now. Stop with the corporate garbage and name someone. Make it happen. Tell us what the plan is. Because believe it or not, this is going to come as a shock to some people. There are fans of the U.S. women's national team who want to see them succeed. Because they enjoy the product on the field. And they've won. My God in heaven. They've won. But again, we talked about it before. Faith. Organizations that build faith and earn that trust. The players on the field have earned the trust. Yes, they're falling behind now, but they have historically earned the trust. I don't think any of us can say they're not going to walk in and not be competitive in the Women's World Cup. You're certainly not going to find them missing the World Cup on a wet field and Trinidad. So U.S. Soccer, get your act together. And NWSL, find a new owner for Sky Blue, because this is a garbage situation to begin with for them.
And grow.
And grow. My God, grow. Because I remember with the WPS, when FC Gold Pride went under, we all kind of looked around at each other and said, "Yep, that's about it. Now you're regional. Let's grow some teams in the right cities, like you just talked about, Jason, with the big clubs. They're going to put the fiscal investment necessary behind it. Grow this game. Give these ladies a shot. Give fans stateside in more cities the opportunity to watch top flight talent play the game." My 2-year-old daughter, obsessed with soccer. Obsessed. If we had a team here in this city, we would be getting season tickets and we would be going with regularity. Mm-hmm. I don't know if hey, Uncle Arthur, if you're listening, letting you know, you'd have one season ticket holder right here, day one. Let me know. I'm all on board for it.
Get the league right and make it a suitable place to invest. And I think investment will happen. And that's where I'm at with it, because when you didn't have a commissioner for a year and a half, for whatever reason, I don't know why, now the lifetime deal was ended a year early, and there was chatter that the lifetime deal was holding the league back. I don't know. I don't know the details. I'm not in those rooms. I'm not in those meetings. But you've been at 9 teams. You're at 9 teams. You've got one team that's a joke, maybe trying to be less of a joke, but still a joke. Right now, if you are an Arthur Blank, if you are the group of owners with LAFC, if you're David Beckham, if you're anybody who is doing something big right now in soccer in this country, you want to see that NWSL is a place that deserves your investment. And that's not an easy answer right now. That's got to change.
And I'll tell you this, Juve, you talked about Juve putting money into their team. Juve is a publicly traded company. Mm-hmm. They don't put money in anything that they think is going to be a loss.
No.
So just keep that in, keep that in the back of your mind. This isn't some charity deal or some sort of loss leader on your
It can't be successful that way. And I think for too long, women's professional sports and women's pro soccer in the United States has been looked at that way. It can't be. It's a business. It's got to be run as a business. And there are people who will consume it and spend money on it, and there are people who will invest in it. But it has to be a viable business.
Yep. 100%. Last thing before we get out of here, guys, the Nations Cup is coming up for Soccer in the Streets. I am here to announce that I will be participating in this as a player. I'm coming out of retirement, guys. Get the music up. Confetti. It's happening. I'm coming out of retirement. They do not have an Italy team, sadly. Italy, the Italian community, I'm very angry with you right now.
Did you appeal to FIFA to get your suspension overturned?
We're still working through that with the legal team.
Are you Rick Nalifi?
There may be some. We don't know what my actual player card name is going to be yet. We're working on that.
Play in a wig.
It's possible. Epic. The Ric Flair wig might make an appearance. It could happen. But I will be posting very soon on my Twitters a link to where you can help donate, because that's what it's going to take for me to be able to get into this thing. It's a substantial donation from the community at large.
That's how the suspension gets overturned.
That's right, guys. That's how you bring enough money.
That's what it is.
Money.
FIFA. I mean, it's FIFA.
It's FIFA.
Here's an envelope.
So if you guys could be so kind out there in the SDH universe to donate when I post the link, I will be auctioning some rare items off, which includes, see, you guys get to win. I have, for the women's soccer fans, because we've closed out the show with this, I have a team-issued Atlanta Beat zip-up Puma, only issued to team and players. You're not getting it anywhere else. I'm telling you right now, I have it. It's right here at Casa de Alifi, and it can be yours for the right price. We're gonna do a bid with it. I talked to Jessica. It's happening. One of the queens of the South. We're gonna put it out there. So just know you want it. Also, Atlanta beat team issued socks. They're clean. Don't worry. They've never been played in. Also, Puma. They're there. They will be on the bidding wall as well. So that's all I have for today. Gentlemen, anything to close us out?
Defensa Justicia needs a lot of help.
Yeah.
It's not looking likely. They might have been a bit overwhelmed by the moment, but they are in the Copa Libertadores, which is pretty exciting. And yeah, and Bambino Pons, the announcer, was calling their manager Kurt Cobain for the whole match, and that was a highlight. That was about the only highlight for Defensa. They have, and I did look at this. I was very impressed that I was looking at the relegation situation. So they need help from a team that is playing for its life in the Superliga. Tigre. They need Tigre to beat Racing next week, which is very unlikely. But Tigre still has a chance to not get relegated, so they do have something to play for. But in the last 3 years, Racing is your number 2 team in the league. Boca is your number 1 team over a 3-year period. Defensa is number 3. They're not going anywhere, folks.
That's right. So get on board with Argentine Super League. Get the Fanatis subscription. I'm reaching out to Fanatis to try to get an SDH hookup. If we can make this happen, we'll blast it out to everyone. But if you're looking for an Argentine team,
DYJ.
I'm just saying, Defensa, baby. Mr. John Nelson, anything from you, sir?
Well, let's see. We had a bit of an abbreviated schedule over in England. And it's still going to be a bit of an argy-bargy from 3 to 6. 1 and 2 still going to be who they are. Relegation fight still has Cardiff and Burnley and a couple of folks from 13 on down hanging to 20. And the greatest escape of great escapes is still off and running in League One. Dead and buried 6 weeks ago, AFC Wimbledon has won 4 of their last 6. They are now only 3 points from safety after being 10 points adrift 6 weeks ago.
Wow. Also on ESPN Plus, check out that action. Wonderful, wonderful news coming out of England.
So far. Keep your fingers crossed, because we're moving into our new stadium in a couple of years since Chelsea's bought the current one, and need all the help we can get.
Well, all right. I think that's going to do it for today, guys. I think that's it. I think I've worked through my sports depression.
Soccer over there, couch.
Yeah, well, everything was going great until Jason bombed me yet again with the fact that Defensa will not likely win the title this year. I thought I had worked through it and put it to bed.
Vamos Tigre.
There we go. That's right. That's what we're going with. That's what we're going with. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, mucha Euro y'all.
Lot of lyric.